Hey, good morning. Welcome back to Ohrmundt Simmentals. This is Chris. First and foremost, I'd like to wish you a very Merry Christmas. It is Christmas Eve. I figured since I have off that I'm gonna go around. Had a couple requests for this video, and that is a equipment tour. Who doesn't like a good old-fashioned Christmas equipment tour? We're gonna start out with tractors. And we're gonna start out with the one that we use every single day. And you guys know what I'm talking about, that I have a little bit mixed feelings about this guy. We have a Mahindra 3550. This is four-wheel drive, obviously. This is our daily runner. That's why it's probably the dirtiest tractor we have, but it is used every single day for feeding and loader work and all that stuff. It is a 50 horse rated tractor. I think technically it's spec'd at 49 horse. But we've had this guy, I think 6 years now, 7 years. And like I said, we have mixed feelings about this tractor. When it works, it's nice. But we've had some issues with it. The reliability in the front drivetrain and the seal bearing situation in the front has really annoyed us. I would say I love the front tires on it because they're really, really wide. Yes, they're more of that industrial, like skid steer type tire. We like them because they are so wide and it's less of a footprint on the ground. I would say I'm not a huge fan of the industrial style rears. I kind of would have liked more of a regular tractor tire in the back for that little bit extra traction. So we're gonna move on over, shed some real light on this situation. We do have a light in here. I don't know how well it'll work. All right, so this guy is the oldest tractor in our arsenal. All right, so this is the John Deere 2030. This tractor has been around as long as I've been alive. This tractor has been here. And I think Dad said they bought it before I was born. I'm not quite sure. But yeah, John Deere 2030. This is a 60 or 65 horse rated tractor. If you've been watching our videos, you know that this one has been kind of out of commission for like 2 years. Last winter, it got an in-frame engine rebuild because it was seriously needing it. Big time needing it. Transmission is still decent. Rear tires are still good. So we love this tractor for little odds and ends type stuff. Poking around. This is primarily our raking tractor, is what we do with this guy. But pulling a wagon around, something just to jump onto and go, that's not the loader tractor. That's what we do with that guy. All right, next on the list. All right, this is kind of was our big tractor. Used to be our big tractor, John Deere 2940. So this is in that 85 horsepower range. We've had this 10 plus years now. I think going on 15. It's got to be going on like 15. Pretty solid tractor. It does need some new rears. These are pretty worn down. Primarily this tractor gets used for cutting. We'll put our disc spine on there and you'll see that in a little bit. And then we also use this one for grinding. This tractor has been pretty reliable. It runs really decent. Last year we got the fuel pump rebuilt because we did have a weird condition where it would get when it would get warm, like you'd run it really hard for a while, and then if you shut it off and try to go back and start it within the next 15 to 20 minutes, it would not want to start. Got the fuel pump rebuilt and it worked just fine. So that is the 2940. So we got to go back down to the shop and look at our big tractor. And last but not least on the tractor front is our current big tractor, the John Deere 4430. So we bought this tractor like 3 years ago. It's got about, 6,700 hours on it, give or take. So it runs strong. We did get a new fresh paint job on this thing. When we picked it up, we just said, you know, we should just put the money into it and get that done right away. The guy that we got it from was actually, his day job was refrigeration, like AC heating and cooling. So he put a new AC pump on there and some new lines. So that's really nice. The AC works decent. The heat works nice. And this guy has been definitely a great upgrade. Not only have we been able to upgrade tillage equipment, you know, to get stuff done faster and a little bit better, but just the creature comfort of a cab with AC, especially at baling time. You wouldn't think it's that nice, but when you're baling dry hay and that chaff is flying in your face, it wears on you pretty good. So Dad has definitely loved the upgrade with this guy, just in that aspect alone. So the thing's in pretty solid shape. The tin was all nice and straight. He did put some LED lights on it. And we might actually expand on that a little bit. And it did come with a set of duals. We did get a different set of hubs last year for these duals. We went and found this set here. The ones we had, they weren't the clamp-ons, but they were the other side, the kind that had the big U-bolts. We tried one season of baling this last summer with the duals on, and we're just going to leave them. We don't have a lot of hilly ground, but we do have a few spots where it is pretty hilly, one field in particular, and it is nice to have a little extra stability. So yeah, this dude, he's about 100, 130, give or take, 120, 130 horsepower. And yeah, it is a quad range. So let's move into tillage, because all the tillage stuff is right here. And first on that list is a 9-shank Glencoe soil saver. So you guys saw us just working on that like a week or so ago. We put on that tire right there, and then we also did, and you'll be able to see it easier now, is we did this adjustment here. So we were in this hole and we moved it to the middle hole, and what that did is it's lowering the discs into the ground a little bit more, because we were noticing that those discs were barely even touching the ground, and that doesn't do anything for you. So we have it all set. It's still hooked up, but unfortunately, chisel season has gone bye-bye. So one of these days, it is supposed to be pretty warm, so we might do some final closure on moving stuff around and putting stuff away for the rest of the winter. This piece could sit here. It's not a big deal, but we don't typically park the tractor right here. So, but this has been this is a 9-shank, has been a really, really nice upgrade in our soil. And with this tractor, with the duals, this thing works really, really nice. The only thing I think we would like to do to it is in the back, it would be nice to have like one of those spring tooth things in the back. And I'll show you on the disc, but it would be nice to have one of those to kind of level out the ridges that are left by this. Oh, and one other thing on the 44, we did add a backup camera. This guy was an Amazon buy. It was like $40. And we just have a screen that runs constant in the cab, and then it points down right at the hitch, and that has been a really nice upgrade. So all right, chisel plow. Right behind the chisel is the disc. So this is I believe it is a 20-foot Kraus disc. This boy is beefy, and does a really decent job, and is a really nice fit for the 44. And what I was just mentioning is this guy has like this leveler bar on it, so this kind of drags along the ground and kind of smooths everything out. We probably hit like 2 passes with this guy and we're done. We've actually done 2 passes in the soybean field with this disc and we're done. It works really, really decent. There isn't really any adjustability to it. You can't adjust the angle of the gangs or anything like that, but it does a really, really nice job. So between these two, these were the big upgrades for tillage when we got the 44. All right, so let's slide through. All right, one last thing, well, actually 2 things in tillage. So actively, 16-foot Brilliant cultivator. We don't necessarily use this as much. We do once in a while. The grass is obviously growing up because I don't know if we really use this guy, because sometimes that smoothing attachment on the back of the disc does enough where you don't need to bring the cultivator out. And the 44 will just toy with this thing almost to the point that you break it. So this thing does serve a purpose. It is nice to have around. And the one thing that we kept was this guy. This is a 416 Oliver moldboard plow. It does have back here, I think this is the one where you can add a bottom on this one. So, and you can tell that this thing has not moved in a long time. So you just unbolt this and you can add a bottom to it and then bolt that back on and then just readjust these. So this is what the 29 would pull as far as tillage goes. But as far as tillage goes, that's what we got. All right, as long as I'm standing next to it. A lot of you that follow the channel already know about this guy. So this is our 16-foot bumper pull Corn Pro steel cattle trailer. We've had this for a number of years, at least 10, and it's an early 2000s model. So what we ran into, this is what we did to it. We put this strip of aluminum here, and this is honestly a ratchet strap to hold everything together because this is not attached. We discovered this the morning we were hauling our calves to the sale barn. We hauled in some animals the night before, and then we discovered this the next morning. So this guy needs to go into the shop. All right, let's get into harvest equipment. And as long as we're here, haying equipment. So we'll get to the disc bind, but we have a Kuhn Speed Rake SR12. So this is a 12-wheel wheel rake. Had this for what, 8 years, maybe 8 years. I love it. It has a couple of downsides, but I really like it. You can rake like a bat out of hell. It does a nice job. You can set it so that just the right side will drop versus both of them if you need to do that. But you can rake some pretty nice size windrows with this thing and still be just hauling ass down the field. 7-foot Fleckvieh hay tedder. So this style tedder, the reel goes like this, and actually, does it go like this or does it go like this? I can't remember. But what it does is essentially fluffs up the hay, allowing the air to get in there, get underneath, get into the row, and dry it out. New Holland 1411 disc bind. So this is like a 9.5 foot cut. This was an awesome upgrade. They do have their downfalls, and unfortunately, one thing about our equipment, a lot of it has to sit outside. So we definitely have to make sure in the spring and when we're using it that we're greasing, oiling, checking gearboxes, all that kind of stuff. So That is one thing. And honestly, I think we probably need to, we need to actually raise this up and get some blocks under it. It does have a transport mode, but for some reason, this is your transport. So when you raise your head up, then this guy will slap in under here and stick. But the other side doesn't want to raise up high enough to do that. We got to look into that. We probably need to hook up to it, raise it up, and get some blocks under the cutter bar so that it's not just sitting on the ground. This guy gets pulled with the 29. It's a good fit for it, and it's awesome. This thing cuts anything. It just cuts. And if you've been following the channel, you just watched this guy in action. This is our new idea picker. So we get our cob corn. There's not really a whole lot to say about this guy other than the fact that you pull it out, you grease it, you oil it, and you go. It's either covered in sheet steel or it is steel. There's so much metal on here. As long as you're greasing and lubing and oiling, this thing just works. It does have a lot of spring clutches on it, these guys. So if things are about to break, there's one there, here, there's a couple on the other side. So if something gets jammed up or a bearing goes out, those chatter before something catastrophic goes wrong. So that's the nice thing about this thing. To go along with that, and the thing we didn't get to use this year, is our international, I think this is a 35 stock shredder. So this will handle, like, I think it covers 4 rows easily, 5 rows if you hit it just right. 2 years ago we put new hammers on it. It does a really nice job shredding, and if you do it with the 44, it's quite the nice ride. So then we come to this guy. The RBX 451 is our round baler. It's a 4x5 round baler. It is back outside because it does need a little bit of finish cleaning on it before it gets put back away for the rest of the winter. We did also have a potential that this was going to go bye-bye soon, but not sure if that's going to happen. But this is going to get replaced pretty soon. We've had this a long time, and we are due for an upgrade. If you watch the channel, we had done a major repair on a roll down in here 2 summers ago, major repair down there. We did put new belts on it 2 years ago, so these are only a couple years old, so they're in really nice shape. I definitely think that this guy definitely has a few more bales of life, few more years of life. So if somebody's looking for a baler that just needs to bale a couple hundred bales a year, that guy will do the trick. All right, we're back at the farm. We're heading up in the barn. And since I'm up here, we're gonna bounce between harvest-ish equipment and planting. So one downfall to having them in here, equipment in here, and it's just hard to keep them out. Pigeons. Hate them with a passion. But pigeons. They'll fly all over the place, and then they crap over everything. So one of the first things I do in the spring, especially with the planters, is they get a little bit of a rinse off when they come out of here. Harvest. So this is the first year for this guy. This is a John Deere 3970. Right there, 3970. So we picked this up from Swiderski's in Wausau. So they're these guys. They're a local dealer for us. They've been around forever, and they have locations here. We know one of the sales guys over there have for years, and they actually had a pretty decent deal on this thing. I mean, I don't know a dealer you walk into that doesn't have overpriced equipment, but this was actually a pretty fair deal for what we were seeing. It did come with, which we didn't have installed this year. This is one of those recut screens, so it will help size your stuff. So we might try and install that next year, because we definitely want to try and refine the cut, because we are getting quite a bit, noticing they're not eating a lot of cob. So we need to get that a little bit smaller. But first year out of the gate, once we got it hooked up, worked really, really well. And honestly, we're literally chopping twice as fast as we used to with the old New Holland Super 717. So then, along with corn silage, we did pick up this Fox blower. This was a pretty decent deal. We were a little annoyed because we already had a Fox blower and we sold it last spring, so we had to pick this guy up. It worked pretty decent, but I know next year I got to remember it does have these stands, and I got to get those put down in the ground to help keep that thing a little bit more stable. And then we got to play with the spout a little bit just to tighten it up a little bit, a tick, if you will. Just so the spout doesn't blow off, because it did. This guy, if you watch the videos, we did some major repairs to this guy, thanks to some guys at work that helped me out. This is our, was it a Baltic, I think is the name? Yeah. I mean, not super crazy about the spreader, because I don't like the way they meter it. As far as the gauge setting, it's like, just give me one lever and tell me where to go. So that's a little honky, but I think I understand it. But we got that thing fixed up. Hadn't used it for a couple years, but when I spread the seed out on the pasture field, runs like a dream now. So it's nice to have that at least back as an option. Okay, drills. This guy's covered in poop. Because of the pigeons. Don't blame me, blame the pigeons. I got to shoot more pigeons though. Okay, so this is a international, was a 5100 soybean special. We picked this up 3 years ago. It works pretty decent. One reason was because we wanted to try planting soybeans, which turned out pretty decent. But I don't think we'll be planting soybeans anytime soon, only because why? They're not worth anything. But we do have the press wheels, which is a little bit of a nice adder. And then we got the John Deere 7000. Very nice corn planter for us. It works nice. When we got it, we did get a new monitor system for it. The one they had that came with it, didn't work. But we stuck the money into it. It works really, really nice. It's very simple, very basic. But this guy works. It's solid. Closing wheels are just the standard closing wheels. We don't really see a need to change that, because I've done some reading and they say in sandy soils, those old closing wheels are one of the better options. All right, then kind of in harvest, kind of in feed prep is the New Holland grinder. So this guy, you've seen more grinding videos than you probably care to see. And yes, it's just dust on the outside. But this is a New Holland 353 grinder. Works decent. Could probably start using some pretty decent TLC. This one was converted over to hydraulic for the main feed. Here, there are all this gearing, so this comes off the main drive, and then it would connect here to here. But a lot of people, what they'll do is they'll put a hydraulic pump on here. That way you can speed this up if you want, or slow it down. We've had this for probably almost 12 years now, and it's been nice. It works good. It gives us the opportunity to make our own feed. Sometimes it can be kind of crappy in the middle of winter to, grind corn when it's like 5 out. That stinks. But essentially what it does is you drop your corn in here, and there's a bunch of what they're called hammers, and they spin around and they just beat the ever-living tar out of the corn, and you have a screen that it's pushing it up against, and when it gets small enough, it goes through the screen and moves on its merry way into the hopper. All right, here we go. Chopper boxes. 2 identical chopper boxes we picked up with the chopper. Very, very nice shape. They're both Badger boxes. I believe these are 16 footers, but they ran really, really good. Hay, back to hay. We didn't use this guy, only use it when we need to. This is an old wooden hay wagon, but then we go to our main hay wagons. This was another project of Dad's. I helped him make these. Saw my life flash before my eyes a couple of times working on this one. Let's just say trying to flip one of these things over to let Dad weld on it is not fun. But these are a massive upgrade over just a wagon like that. He really wanted some of these and said screw it, and he made them. Then we move on to our H&S 310 manure spreader. This guy has been really, really nice too. We used to have I can't remember the number, but a very much smaller New Holland manure spreader. Probably at least half that size. The other thing that's been really, really nice about it is having, this is the first time we ever had one of the back gates. Sometimes when you get that really sloppy manure, you would have to strategically pack, dry pack in the back and put the wet stuff in the front in the old spreader, because it would just fall out the back. And then you'd basically spread it on the highway instead of out on the field. So that has been a really nice upgrade. Green trailer. This guy, I remember watching Dad build this as a kid. So yes, this is another project that Dad built, but this guy is a flippin' tank, and the only thing we've ever really done to this is we replaced the hydraulic ram. Now, there are a few items out there that, honestly, we just don't really use that much anymore, because they are functional, but they just don't really fit what we do, but it didn't really pay to get rid of them. So we do have a few of those things kind of tucked away. So I did just give these guys their ground feed. What, you guys helping? You helping? All right, so again, from all of us here at Ohrmundt Simmentals, myself, Bethany, my dad, my mom, we'd like to wish you guys all a very Merry Christmas. These guys would also like to wish you guys a very Merry Christmas as well. They are busy eating. I hope you guys liked the video. As always, hit that thumbs up button. If you guys got any questions, please leave them in the comments. I know I kind of went through that equipment pretty quickly. And I hope you guys subscribe to the channel and want to follow along for more, because it definitely supports what we're doing here at Ohrmundt Simmentals. And as always, thanks for coming along.